I thought this was very interesting. When I was about to start my PhD, I almost finished the master's and was thinking about starting it. I asked my former supervisor about his career path and if he has some tips that I should take into consideration doing a PhD or where to do a PhD in general. And he basically said, okay, there are 3 important things, the 3 most important things. And I was like, okay. So I took my notepad out and I was ready to write. And he said, okay, number 1, do you get along with your supervisor? Number 2, do you get along with your supervisor? And number 3, do you get along with your supervisor? And I was confused because like, well, I can see why that's nice, but isn't the project more important? And he said, no, it's not. Because if you get along with your supervisor, it almost doesn't matter what was written in the grant proposal. You can almost do whatever you want. But if you don't get along with your supervisor,
it's hell.
He basically said, I can tell you for sure, it doesn't matter what was written in the grant proposal. You won't be able to do any of it just because you won't be able to do any type of work. And this was a big eye-opener for me, because when you're about to finish your master's, at least that's how it was for me, it was all about where you're going to do your PhD. I'm going to go to Oxford. I'm going to go to Cambridge. I'm going to work in this lab. I'm going to work in that. It was basically name dropping, which, if you are in that state, is basically all you can rely on, because you're so early on. You barely know anyone. So you can just go based on the advertisements. So that he told me this really was, okay, I need to dig a little deeper than just what's written on a website. And it also helped me to figure out, if I go to an interview, what types of questions I need to ask, and not just what types of questions I need to be prepared to answer. It's not at all. At the same time, it's also, that was at least my experience, is that when you come prepared with questions for the counterparty, 95% of the time, they don't expect you to ask anything.
And they do all the talking.
Exactly. And you get all the information, which is so much more important to help you make a good decision. Because I think that's, in the end, to find that fit. Because nobody is happy. Also, your supervisor, who likes to work in a different way, isn't happy when the relationship isn't good. So it's because often we hear from the PhDs, my supervisor. I can tell you, your supervisor isn't pleased about that either. So it's a two-way street. And I also understand that you're on a shorter end of the stick, unfortunately. Do you say it like that? Short end of the stick.
You've got the short end of the stick.
You got the short end of the stick because you are hierarchically seen lower. But from my perception, that's only in your head. At least in the Netherlands,
it's a flat culture.
Yeah,
you can tell your supervisor whatever you want.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying be rude or anything, but when you open up about difficulties you have in a lab and ask for your supervisor's time to talk about this in private, they are willing to listen, just like any other human being would be. And that solved for a lot of my friends a lot of problems by just doing that. And not walking in there with a battle plan or something, just be open, and respectful. Because otherwise, as soon as you accuse people, they get defensive immediately, no matter if you have a good point or not.